In the previous episode, we failed to acquire a myth slot in the vault, something I'd like to achieve this week. But unless I'm running my own key, who's going to invite an Affliction Warlock to an 18 with my item level and score? Well, boys and girls, we're about to find out, because that's my plan for this reset. We're going to continue with the same mission from last week by running dungeons we're missing score for, and hopefully we can sneak our way into an 18 and finally unlock that myth slot for the vault, but it's not going to be easy. Today we start at an item level of 461 and our Mythic Plus rating is 1803. We start this week by picking up the Time Walking Weekly, which reminds me, last week we had 4 Mythic dungeons to do and I completely forgot about it. So I did in fact open that after I made the video, and from that cache we received a pair of 470 hero feet. Exactly the same pair of boots we were wearing, but it's upgraded from veteran to hero. We handed in this week's Time Walking Weekly and it was time to open the vault. Though sadly this week we only had 2 dungeon slots. I really need to start doing the raid again. The items available this week are the Time Thief's Gambit Trinket, which we've covered before and not very good for us. And the second item was a neck piece with very high mastery and crit. And well, I know this one very well because it's BIS for my Demon Hunter. And as it turns out, it's also very good for the Affliction Warlock. And I don't know what it is about rings and necks this season, but on every character I play, I struggle to get them so much. So I'm quite happy about this item. Just ignore the budget gems, okay? I cheaped out because it was a veteran piece, but I'm not going to do that with the hero one, don't worry. So I pick up the neck. However, has anyone noticed the mistake I've made yet? Well, you're about to find out. So usually I would open the weekly caches first because you obviously don't get to choose what you get from those, and depending on what you get from those caches, it could potentially dictate what you take from the vault. In this case, however, because it's a normal raid cache and I didn't have many slots from the vault anyway, I don't think it would have made a massive difference. So I open the cache and I get a 457 champion offhand. Once again, exactly the same piece I'm wearing, but this upgrades from veteran to champion. Well, that was lucky. Let's just hope it continues. After that, I went and upgraded and enchanted all my gear, and it took our total item level to 464. So as mentioned, the plan for this reset was to complete all of the dungeons that I am missing score for. And thank God one of them isn't Atal'Dazar, because I think I've had enough of that place for a while. But that does mean I need to go back to Rise. Oh, that's going to be fun. Along with Rise, we also need to do Full, Darkheart Thicket, and Everbloom. 4 dungeons where we have at least one boss that I'm really not looking forward to. Luckily enough for me, this week's affixes are Fortified, Stormin, and Bursted. So it's actually a really good push week. So I hope you got some keys done too. However, the key I got from the vault, well, you guys know what it is. It was the one place I didn't want to go to, Atal'Dazar. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's one of the easier dungeons, but after last week, I just want to break from that place, man. The Atal'Dazar we picked up was a 16, and that was the sort of key level that I wanted to do this week. It would not only bring our score up by quite a bit, but it also means that we start farming aspect crests. After about 45 minutes, I finally get into a group, and this one was an Everbloom 16. For this run, the tank and healer were both around 465 and both of the other DPS were about 475. Going into every dungeon as an Affliction Warlock, I don't really expect to keep up with the other DPS, especially if they outgear me quite a bit. AoE is pretty much the only thing Affliction Warlock seems to be good at, but when we're asked not to go crazy because of bursting, well, this one's going to be interesting, because DPS never listen to requests like this, do they? And I'm certainly no exception. I came to go boom, baby, and boom is exactly what I did. So I guess I deserved that death. I just took Afgo's boom to a whole new level. But as we begin by taking down a pretty monster pack, can we please pull more than 2 mobs? Please? To anyone new to Mythic Plus or perhaps inexperienced, if you spend time pulling like this, you're not going to time many keys, because you are on a race against time, and obviously the higher you go, the larger health pool the mobs have, and they already have increased health this week because it's fortified. So typically the higher you go, well, the more value you get from pulling larger packs, and the team will have to be on point with crowd control and interrupts. Oh, speaking of interrupts, I still didn't create my interrupt macro. So although I'm focused targeting mobs from time to time, which you'll see by the striped bar, yeah, it doesn't really do much. It literally just changes the pattern of the bar. Didn't I say I'd fix it the last time we came to this place? Whoopsie. We take down the Dread Petal pack just before the first boss, and you can see just how much this healer's struggling to deal with bursting. Well, it's a good job the DPS chilled with damage. After the first boss, we find ourselves in another situation where we're only fighting 2 mobs. Well, this sucks because I need at least 3 targets to use Seed of Corruption, so ay. We kill this pack, 2 mobs again, come on man. We finally start pulling some bigger packs, and I take full advantage. I've been holding on to these seeds for way too long. That didn't sound right, did it? We start the next pack with just one mob. The tank uses Throw Glaive to gather the rest, so I switch my target, use Unstable Affliction, and I start ramping up my abilities to blast some AoE. Oh no, Dilligan. Well, I guess that's what I get for complaining. One thing that I didn't mention about this week was that I really wanted to improve using the Warlock's utility. I wanted to get better at placing Gateway, but I also wanted to start utilizing the Demonic Circle a lot more. And although my Gateway placement is very questionable at times, I'm getting a little better with the Demonic Circle. I'm also trying to use my Gateway to speed things up a little, but I guess it's only really useful if it's actually being used. So at times like this, where we lose the healer to both the Frostbolt and the Pyroblast, what a wicked combination on one target. Well, there's no one to res, so they have to release and run back. I'm not wasting a soulstone for this, so I thought, hey, I'll be useful and save them a few seconds of running round. But they didn't even take it, man. Oh, we'll come back to this Gateway though, don't worry. Now, even though this is a fortified week and the bosses aren't buffed, well, Archmage Soul can still be a pretty tough encounter. And I think this was the first place today where I actually needed to think a lot about where I placed my utility. So because this boss involves a lot of movement, I placed my gate off to the side. The plan was to stand next to the gate in case of emergency, and then once I'd used it, I could then utilize Demonic Circle. But there was one thing that I didn't know and I didn't bother checking, and those were the cooldowns. So I can use the Gateway every 90 seconds, however I can use Demonic Circle every 30 seconds. I guess technically they're two different spells. Demonic Circle places it on the ground, and Demonic Circle Teleport, well, it's the one that teleports you back to the circle, of course. So yeah, perhaps going into this encounter I place the Demonic Circle, maybe where I placed the gate. Prioritize using the circle first, and then use the Gateway in case of emergency. Yeah, I really need to get better at that because my positioning as a caster sucks. And then maybe it'd be good for the healer to stand with the boss, because healing on this fight, holy moly. And remember, this is fortified. The healer finds themselves in a sticky situation and unfortunately goes down. I do pick them back up. We get the fire and orb combination again, so I decide to use the Gateway to get to a safe location. But sadly, once again, the healer gets stuck in between fire and the orbs. This poor guy just can't catch a break. I pick the healer up, we take down this boss, and we move towards the assistants. We start taking down this pack, and just like every other DPS, well, there's no slowing down. The mobs die, Burst In starts doing its thing, and the poor healer goes down again. I think I'll take most of the blame for that. Sorry, man. This isn't me trying to point out how bad the healer is, by the way. Burst In is such a horrible affix for the healers to deal with. And when DPS just go crazy and don't hold back, well, you've seen what happens. So we finish these ads and we realize we still need a little more count. We head back to pull some of the mobs and meet up with the healer. We take down the last mob and we move towards the last boss. But going back to earlier, where the druid didn't take my Gateway, yeah, I said we'd come back here. Well, I had one of those dilly moments, those awkward, embarrassing moments where you sit there and think, man, I hope no one realizes what I just tried to do, because I failed big time.
Nope, 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 nope.
I just wanted to be smart and place a Gateway. I wanted to make the run a little quicker, be efficient, you know? Go on, comment down below, call me a dum-dum, I deserve it. I finally catch up to the rest of the group and they've already gone through the portal before me. Oh dear, that was a close one. Thankfully, there's not too much to cover for this fight. The boss goes down and we end up timing this key, taking our total rating to 1,897. We did receive a 463 champion offhand from the chest with higher haste and lower mastery, so it might be something worth using, but for now I think I'll just stick to what I have. The next key I'm able to get into is a Rise 16. I know, I'm as shocked as you are. I got into another 16, although this did take me a little bit of time, but I just stuck to my guns and I kept applying to keys. I was invited by a 470 Rep Paladin. They then invited a 460 Prop Paladin, a 475 Havoc Demon Hunter, and a Preservation Evoker, which I didn't inspect and, well, I can't type their name, so you'll have to look that one up for yourself. We get off to a bit of a funny start when I realise, oh, the tank's bringing them back. So I get flustered, I step to the side, and I kind of get my AoE rotation a little bit mixed up, but I start pulling some respectable numbers. I think what I do here is I start by targeting the Magus, as that's the caster that I want to interrupt and focus. I then use Vile Taint and Soul Rot, but then realise my main target doesn't have Unstable Affliction. It's not the end of the world, but I then have to apply it and finish by spamming Seed of Corruption. There's a few more situational things from time to time, but for the most part, that's pretty much all I have to worry about. These ads go down and ouch, that's a lot of bursting. And if we carry on like this, I think the healer's gonna have a horrible time. And that's evident a little later when the tank gets a double bleed, the group lets some Epoch bolts go off, and when you pair that with bursting, yeah, it's not great. So the tank goes down and everyone else follows. Eventually we get to the first boss. I place my demonic circle like a good little boy, but I forget to realize that I need to resummon my pet and consume it. I do the whole boss fight like this, by the way. The demon hunter is zipping around like a madman, the evoker nearly dies to annihilation, and the tank bites the big one when they fail to move out of the frontal. Not just once, by the way, though at least they had some company for the second one. Silly dragon. This encounter was a complete mess, but we were still able to get the guy down. We get to the 2 mobs just before the gauntlet, and then it hits me. Yes, you need to consume your pet, you dum-dum. I really hate this. Alright, we made a complete mess of the gauntlet last time, so this time needs to go better.
Nope.
Ah, screw this, man. Skip ahead. Stupid gauntlet. Alright, since I've had a ton of questions regarding my UI, add-ons, and my player profile, I thought I'd take a minute just to explain a couple of things. Firstly, the entire UI and a list of all of my add-ons are all available to download for free via the Discord. Myself and Keita put this together at the beginning of the season, and we wanted to make it available to you guys. We've taken quite a lot of inspiration from other UIs we've used in the past, such as Quasi, and you may notice that my player profile looks very similar. It's basically a copy of Quasi's from Season 1 in Shadowlands, and since then I've downloaded many plugins and just made it my own. So yeah, once again, everything available for free via the Discord. The only thing that isn't free, and it's because it's personal and I've put a lot of work and effort into it, is the Bastion sound pack.
Fixate. Bloodlust. Right. 3, 2, 1.
And to those that didn't know, Bastion is my 8-year-old son. So yeah, he's constantly yelling at me in game. One day I'll snap in real life. Stop telling me what to do, man. So if you would like access to this sound pack, I have made it available to both Twitch subs and Patreons. The dungeon weakorers I use are created by Causes, and you can get the shared media add-on that comes with the default sound pack absolutely free. To someone in my position where I have ADHD and really bad focus, this really helps. Though there's still times where I hear it and it just doesn't register. It's just ADHD things. Alright, back to the video, and Morchi once again was a pain in the butt, for me at least. I just can't get the positioning right, and I honestly have no idea where to put Demonic Circle and Demonic Gateway. It was this encounter that made me realise that I need to start using Demonic Gateway on the fly, and not just place it with the assumption that it's going to be in the right spot. I mean, I've certainly improved over the weeks, and hopefully you guys can see that, but using these spells correctly can make the encounter so much better. I'm just thankful I didn't stitch up a party member. Who would do a thing like that? I guess the dragon forgot they had wings. It's alright, my community try and stitch me up all the time with this. In fact, it happened one day. Did Renku fall off the edge? Did I miss that? How did you get down there? We make our way to the last boss, and I don't know if you guys have noticed yet, but we don't have a lot of ranged. So when the paladin asked if I knew how to do them, well, what else was I gonna say? It's alright, I've got this. And you know what? For the most part, it actually went really well. I'm still a little unsure at times how much damage we should be taking, and sometimes it looks like I'm not doing it correctly. This does mean less focus on dealing damage and more focus not messing up the orbs. But I do lose concentration on the 4th orb, where I start moving to reposition myself, and of course the evoker moves out. I try running back in, but sadly it doesn't leave enough time to soak the ability, and maybe we take a bit too much damage. This is then followed by the tank frontal, which I see a lot of tanks get this one wrong, where the adds start moving to the other side of the room, and a frontal is due to come out pretty much at the same time. Let me know down in the comments if this frontal has killed you. Up until phase 2, I'd actually done a really good job with the orbs, but sometimes you do get a nasty crossover where I have to stand there and soak the orbs, but also move because of the AoE that gets placed on the ground. This can happen, and more often than not, the player just has to stand there and die, as it's better for one player to die and not the entire team. That's not what happened in this run, although I did spend too much time thinking I had to continue soaking. I failed to move out, took far too much damage, and died. Oh, but it gets better, because I use my soulstone to get back up, I place a gate to reposition myself, but I don't realise orbs are coming back out. I panic and immediately try running back to the orb as I notice the evoker runs out of theirs. The group then take a lot of damage. I continue to panic as AoE comes out, and then I go down again because I'm standing in all this sand. What a complete mess. Thankfully, those alive are able to finish the boss, time in this key, and it takes our total rating to 1,972. Apart from all that panic, I actually thought I did a really good job with the orbs. No loot from this run, but I'm glad to get this key done. And although I felt a little silly about the orb situation, I felt even worse when I realised I should have been re-rolling my key. Whilst I sit here being sad and feeling sorry for myself, I'd like to say a massive thank you to all of my amazing Patreons. You guys have gone above and beyond, and I can't thank you enough. If Patreon's not for you and you want to support me for free, you can do so by subscribing to the channel. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it means the world to me. You can also go one step further by following me over on Twitch and carrying me through some Mythic Plus. We also host a raid once per week, so if that's something you're interested in, I'll leave all my links down below. Alright, back to the video, and the next place we jump into is a Darkheart Thicket 16. I think we've proved that 16 should probably be the minimum by now. For this one we have a Vengeance Demon Hunter and Discipline Priest, both in between 460 and 470, a Sub Rogue around 455, and the Outlaw Rogue is around 480. We don't get off to a good start when I get the bleed from the bear. I use my defensives a little late, the healer goes down, and I follow shortly after. Maybe that was a bit spicy for this group. We get back to the bear after it resets, and I have to resummon my pet. I'm never going to be okay with this. Nothing really to cover until we get to the first boss, and there's a moment where I get really confused, because two players get knocked, I can't read their nameplates in time, and the boss is about to charge the tank. Yeah, things went a bit too quick for me there. Once again, not much to cover leading up to the second boss, apart from a couple of moments where I took aggro. Was there too much boom? This happened after the second boss as well, with the slimes. Hey man, this isn't SOD. I'm not made for tanking. We use Shroud to get to the third boss, skipping some of the adds, but why is everyone so much faster than me? The adds in the tunnel leading up to the last boss can be pretty spicy, especially on a fortified week. And as we take down the last pack, I realised that we don't have enough count. The last boss actually goes really well. I'm still being an awesome warlock by utilising Demonic Circle. Oh, rip healer though. That's alright, I'll get him back up. Or don't stand there, buddy. Never mind. So we end up taking this guy down, we finish off enough adds for count, and we end up 2 chests in this key, taking our total rating to 2,050. Woohoo! KSM! We looted a 463 Champion Starlight Trinket, and because we reached KSM, we received an Emerald Mark of Mastery, which can be converted into any tier piece at a hero level. Though I think I'm going to hold off and wait until next reset and do the vault first. Then I can start next week with the best possible start. Alright, last place on the list was full, but so far today we've kind of failed the objective we set for ourselves, because I really wanted to unlock a myth slot for next week's vault. So I spent some time signing up to some 18s, and I'm not quite sure how I managed it, but I got into one. So this group consists of a 475 Windwalker Monk. We don't see too many of those these days, so I was quite excited for this one. A 479 Prot Paladin, nice name by the way. A 475 Mistweaver Monk, and a 478 Frost Mage. Honestly a little confused as to why they'd invite me, a 463 Affliction Warlock, but I'm not going to complain. So this was it, an 18, my big test. It's been a good day so far, but that could all end here. We began, the doors opened, and the tank pulled absolutely everything. Most of my groups either skip this or just take one side. We take this pack down, we move on to the next one, and the tank pulls it into the boss. What a champ. Massive fan of this by the way. Maybe not on Sanguine weeks though. I don't quite do well in terms of movement and utility to begin with, but I'm pretty damn happy with my damage. To see my name at the top in an 18, even if we're only at the first boss, yeah, it felt good. We finally take the rest of the adds down, and we start progressing on the boss. Now my damage is going to drop. Movement was a little hairy near the end as we started running out of space, but I was able to use the gateway, get to safety, and we take this guy down. We start clearing the arena for the second boss, and man, this dot hurts. We clear the rest of the trash and wait for the boss to spawn, and...
My D key just stopped working. Dodging hard.
Who uses D?
Me? Don't most players use D? Alright, Manifested Timeways. Not a great fight for casters, and this was one that I really wanted to get better at, and falls one of my favourite places this season. I start by placing Demonic Circle and my Gateway. The first orbs come out, and I think the monk punches a little above their weight. Get it? Because monks punching? I'm sorry. Anyway, we do eventually pick the monk back up, we take down this boss, and we move on. We use Gateway to skip the dragon, though I have a 30-second cooldown, so, well, I guess I have to wait. which sucks for me because they start the dragons without me. I'm missing out on all that boom. Yikes, I didn't miss out on all of the damage taken though, but did I really need the bubble of shame? Great save by the monk. We take down the next pack and everyone's damage is really good, including the tank. But could you just imagine if the slimes gave bursting? Holy moly. We start taking down the third boss and there were a couple of times where I get targeted by the infusion debuff. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I ran to the first person and got it off me. I didn't want any of that. But this boss went down super quick, but it did make me realise that I'm not very good at dotting my secondary targets. As it stands, I use mouse over macros for dots and other abilities that I can use on multiple targets. It's been recommended by a couple of you guys in the comments that I should make secondary focused target macros and use something like the shift key. That way I can alternate between them and not have to change target. Yeah, my MMO mouse doesn't like me using the shift key. I could use control, but I currently use that for my second action bar. So that's something I'm going to think about and consider for the future. But I do agree, it's a good idea, and it's definitely something I want to try. Alright, so we get to the final boss, and we have over 12 minutes to time this key. I thought back to one of the previous times I was here and the things I did wrong. I didn't want to make those mistakes again. So we started this encounter. I placed my gate to where groups would usually stack for the adds, and this was it. All we needed to do was kill this guy and we'd finally gain access to a myth slot in the vault. Everyone stacks for the soak and everyone lives. The boss casts its shield and the party does a great job of dodging everything on the ground. We break through the shield and I know we're about to get adds, so I step closer towards the gateway. I get to the other side and I use demonic circle. This was probably the smartest thing I've ever done on the Warlock. We take the adds down and we continue fighting the boss. We get to the second soak and I decide to pop a defensive to stay alive. We get to the obliteration phase and usually knowing my luck, this is where the key would fall apart. Though thankfully this group absolutely destroy it and we not only time this key but we two-chest it, which happens quite a lot in this place. This took our total score to 2,147. We picked up a 467 hero belt with a socket and we finally unlocked a myth slot for next week's vault. That felt good. But not only that, I was really happy with my output, even some of the single target fights. After the fall, I had some time to spare, so I decided to sign up to a heroic raid. We took down a few bosses and the group fell apart. I then signed up and cleared the second half of the normal raid and not a single drop. Well, that sucks. If you enjoyed today's episode and you can't wait for the next one, be sure to check out the Blood DK series from Season 1, where we started our Mythic Plus journey, or you can take a look at the Mistweaver Monk series for Season 2, where it took me far too long to figure out why I wasn't actually healing.